Hello students, welcome to IPS e-learning program Standard 10 English medium. And I will be taking your two subjects, language English and social science. Right? We will begin with letter writing. Right? You will be given an option in your board examinations either to write a letter in section E or to compose an email. This is a sure question. Right? Either you write a letter or an email. The question is of 5 marks section E. So I am telling you the efficacy of this topic, right? It is a compulsory topic for you and you can easily score 4 and 4.5 marks if your language is clear, if it is accurate and simple. You don't need to add any extravagant words. So let us begin. Letter writing. The topic name is letter writing. Do listen carefully, right? And listen with concentration. Shall we begin? Alright, some introduction about letters. We all know, right? You have been told so many times before in previous classes that letters are of two types, formal and informal letters. Right? We will continue the same pattern. Right? There are many kinds of letters, informal and informal, but we will continue with basics, formal and informal letters. Formal letters. Today we will take the topic formal letters only. What are formal letters? These letters are written to any authority. For example, when you write a letter to a teacher, to a principal, to any commissioner, to any collector, to any editor of a newspaper, these all letters come under the category of formal letters. The word is formal letters. You already know what are formal letters, right? You have already been taught in standard 9 what are formal letters. We will begin with the structure, the format of formal letters. So look here. First thing that you have to write is sender's address. Sender's address. The first thing that should be mentioned in letter writing is sender's address. Right? It should be of 3 or 4 lines, not more than that. The address should not be more than 3 or 4 lines. Second thing, leave 1 or 2 lines and write date. Leave 1 or 2 lines and write date. You do not need to write this DATE. Right? Just write the date. There are 3 ways to write a date in CBSE NCERT curriculum that you are following. The first, for example, today is 8th June. So 8th June, 2020. The second way, June 8, 2020, and the third way, 8 June 2020. Use only these 3 formats. Do not write any shortcuts. For example, if it is September, do not write SCP dot. If it is November, do not write NOV dot. It should be clear, it should be easy on the eyes. These are the 3 accepted formats for CBSE board for writing dates. Everything matters in letter writing. Your paper checker will check everything, whether you know how to write date or not. So these are the 3 accepted formats of writing dates. The first is sender's address. It means your address. Right? Choose any one address. I will tell you how to write sender's address. I will show you a sample of it. Second is date. The third thing, leave 1 or 2 lines before writing date. Receiver's address. Receiver's address. Right? Sender's address, date, receiver's address. In all the formal letters, these 2 addresses are compulsory to write. They are mandatory to write. You cannot skip any address. These all carry marks. So be careful while writing letters. Sender's address, date, receiver's address. It means to whom you are writing the letter, to whom the letter is addressed. Right? Clear? Little bit? Yes? Then let us move ahead. Salutation. Then comes salutation. It is formal language. Informal language, it means nothing but greetings. Salutation means how do you greet. You are greeting to a teacher, to a principal, to a collector, to an editor. You cannot use words such as my loving, my dear. Right? You can use dear in some context, but you cannot use words such as loving. Right? So don't. Right? You can use what? You can write sir or madam. You don't even need to write dear sir or dear madam. This sir itself, the word itself shows respect. It carries respect. When you address me in class, do you call me dear sir? No, you just address me as sir. It has respect in it. Right? So only write sir. Don't worry about dear or, right, don't worry, write sir or madam, right? If you are confused, then only write sir. Your identity is not revealed, right? You do not know who is the editor, who is the collector, right? Names will not be given, so write sir to make things absolutely clear. Sender's address, date, receiver's address, salutation, and then comes the main part, that is body of the letter. Everything comprises in this body. Why you are writing the letter, what is the purpose of writing the letter, to whom you are writing the letter, and some solutions regarding the problem that you are facing. Everything will come in this letter writing. Now follow these tips to make your minds very clear. When you are writing formal and informal letters, make 3 paragraphs. Compulsory you make 3 paragraphs. The first paragraph will introduce the letter. The first paragraph will introduce the letter. Why you are writing, the purpose of writing the letter. Second paragraph you will have to elaborate the problem. For example, you are facing the nuisance of stray animals on roads. રખડતા જાનવર છે રોડ ઉપર. What will you do? You have to address. This letter has been written by me. Use passive voice where necessary, right? Where it is important. If you don't want to reveal identity, use passive voice. This letter has been written to draw your kind attention to the issue that we are facing. The issue is the nuisance of stray animals. Introduce that concept in first paragraph. Write 3 or 4 lines. How many lines you have to write? 3 or 4 lines. Second paragraph, elaborate the issue. How much trouble you are facing, what kind of trouble you are facing, who is facing the trouble, are you facing the trouble alone, or is the trouble a general trouble for your city, for your country, or whatever, for your family. Elaborate the issue, right? How they are disturbing you, right? How you are affected by the subject, right? Body. Right? Second paragraph also 3 or 4 lines, right? And the third paragraph will conclude your letter, right? Sender's address, date, receiver's address, right? And then you can also add subject, which is compulsory in formal letters. For example, there is a question given, write a letter to editor complaining or making strong remarks on the stray animals. Then your subject will be given in the question itself, right? You do not need to insert the subject. It will be given in your question. It should be short and precise. It can be a phrase. Subject need not need any grammatical structures. It can be a phrase. For example, subject can be nuisance of stray animals. Your subject will be nuisance of stray animals. It is very important to underline the subject. And whatever subject it may be, right? Whatever math, science, English, whatever, always underline with a pencil and scale. Never underline things with pen or without any scale. Always use pencil and scale. So keep your weapons with you when you go for board examinations. Nuisance of stray animals. Sender's address, it means your address. Date, right? 3 formats are there. Choose any one. Receiver's address, it means to whom you are writing. Subject, nuisance of stray animals. Then comes your salutation, dear sir, sir, madam, respected sir. Do not use any personal pronouns, my dear sir, no, right? It is not an informal letter. Body, 3 paragraphs compulsory you have to make. It is a 5 marks question. You cannot write 1.5 page. You need something better, right? You need something. You have to explain clearly the issues. It need not be the length of an essay, but at least you have to explain something you clearly, whatever you are facing. 3 paragraphs. First paragraph should be of 3 or 4 lines. Second paragraph can be a little bit bigger. Right? Second paragraph you can use 5 to 6 lines. For second para you can use 5 to 6 lines. Elaborate. Whatever you are facing, say it clearly. Whatever you are facing. You can also give some solution to it. Third paragraph is your concluding para. In third paragraph, you end the letter by giving some solution. Right? For example, what can government do? According to you, what can government do to stop the nuisance of stray animals? Whatever you feel, you can mention it to the authority to whom you are writing the letter. It should be again of 3 or 4 lines. you have to compulsory make 3 paragraphs in letter writing. It is of 5 marks. You cannot just write 1 page in 5 marks letter beta. Right? First paragraph, second paragraph, third paragraph, 3 or 4 lines. Right? Sender's address, date, receiver's address, subject, salutation, body, right? And the concluding. Complementary clause, and the final will be complementary clause and your name. You can also put signature, that doesn't matter, but this thing should be there. Complementary clause. It means what? You are ending the letter by saying thanking you. You can write thanking you, or you can also write yours sincerely. Right? There is an accepted format that you can also write sincerely yours, but that is college format, right? Yours sincerely. Now do not make apostrophe in yours. You have to be very clear about that. There is no apostrophe, otherwise it will become you are, right? It is yours sincerely. This s should not be forgotten while you write yours sincerely. Then you write any random name. Do not write your own name, right? Except we know who is this fellow. Soham Sa. I already taught you in standard 9. Soham Sa. Write any random name. Remember this name whenever you write. It will be helpful in your email writing, notice writing, and letter writing. Even in report you can write thanking you, yours sincerely, Soham Sa. This thanking you, yours sincerely is called complementary clause because you are closing the letter. Right? So sender's address, date, receiver's address, subject, salutation, body, complementary clause, and your name. Right? This is the structure of formal letters. Now let us see one example very quickly. There is a question given, right? Write a letter to the editor, right, complaining about reckless driving by the youngsters. This is the simple question, right? You will only be given short questions, right? Write a letter to the editor complaining about reckless driving by the youngsters. You can easily see how can you recognize whether it is formal or informal letter. Look at it, it is given in the question. Editor, it means formal, right? Quite clear? So follow the structure of formal writing. Choose any one address. Remember the address and then go to exams. You cannot sit and think address there. It will use up much of your time and you will leave the paper empty. Right? So B2. Radni Smriti Society near AMA IIM Road, Ahmedabad. You can also write any code. It will be a 6 letters code. Right? Write address of, it should consist of 3 or 4 lines. B2, bungalow number 2, Radni Smriti Society near AMA IIM Road. Now in CBSE formats, according to latest formats, these punctuation marks, right, which you have been taught, these punctuation marks are omitted. Right? But when any new things comes in the market, the old thing does not get cancelled. Right? It is just updation. It is not cancellation. It is not substitution. Right? So you can put commas here if you want the traditional style of writing letters, and at the end it should be full stop after the code, or you can omit the commas. Right? It depends on you. This becomes your sender's address. This is what? Your sender's address. This becomes your sender's address. Look at this. It is not exceeding more than 4 lines. It is not even 2 lines. You can write 2 lines, but write 3 or 4 lines. Then date. Leave 1 or 2 lines here. Let me make it very clear. Leave at least 2 lines. Chalo. Leave 2 lines, right? And then write the date. June 8, 2020. Sender's address, date. Do not write DATE. Do not need to write DATE. Just write the date. Sender's address, date. Receiver's address. Now this is very important. To whom you are writing. You cannot just write randomly. Right? Look at here. Only hint is given. Address is not given. To the editor. Editor किसका होता है? Newspaper का होता है. Right? So you have to choose any one publication, any one newspaper. Right? The editor. After date, again leave 2 lines. It should look very neat and clear, and it should follow some pattern while you are writing the letters. The editor. Editor किसका लेकिन? Choose any one newspaper. The Times of India. You can also write TOI. The Times of India. Now select the same city for your convenience. Ahmedabad. Right? Choose any other code. It doesn't matter. Ahmedabad. Right? No one will check what the code you are using. They will only check whether you have written the receiver's address or not. This becomes your receiver's address. The editor, Times of India, Ahmedabad. Now again, in previous formats, you were taught to write 2, and then you had to place comma here. 2, the editor, the Times of India, Ahmedabad. Again, you can ignore, right, writing 2 according to latest formats. You do not need this 2 while writing. Let it is understood, right? But you can follow both the formats. Sender's address, date, receiver's address. Now comes subject. So first write. Do not use short forms as much as possible, right? Subject. What is the subject? It will be given in a question. Right? It will be not directly given, but you can take the hint from your question. Phrase. Use this phrase. Clause. Reckless driving by the youngsters. The subject will be reckless driving by the youngsters. Please underline this subject with the help of pencil and scale. Do not use pen. Do not use pencil without scale. Underline the subject. Reckless driving by the youngsters. Subject is quite clear. Make a full stop here. Right? It becomes your phrase for the. You do not need grammatical structures in subject. Sender's address, date, receiver's address, subject. Then comes salutation. Right? You have to write this subject. Right? Salutation. Editor. Just write sir. Again, you can choose to ignore comma here. There is no need to place a comma. You can put comma without getting confused, right? It depends on you. You can use comma, you can choose not to use comma, but use comma. It looks good. Sir. Do not need to write dear sir, respected sir. If you write, that is okay. Continue with sir. So I hope this much is clear. This becomes your salutation. What is called this? Salutation or greetings in layman's term. It is called greetings. Salutation. Sender's address, date, receiver's address, subject, salutation. If you write this much, you will at least get 1 and 1.5 marks. So if you are in a hurry and by some chance it should not happen, but I am telling you the importance of writing these all things, you will definitely get some marks. Nothing should be omitted. You can easily score 4 and 4.5 marks in letter writing. It is of 5 marks section E. This much is clear. Sender's address, date, receiver's address, subject and salutation. Now you have to start paragraphs. 3 paragraphs, right? First of all, frame the letter in your mind. How will you write? How will you conclude? Don't just start writing the letter. Frame 3 paragraphs in quick moments. Right? First, How will you start? What is the letter about? You are facing some trouble. You are facing some issue. So you can start the letter how? As a troubled citizen. As a troubled citizen. You are mentioning the city, you can also write as a troubled resident of the city. Whatever you can write, but citizen is more appropriate. As a troubled citizen, this letter has been written, or you can use personal pronouns. There is no, as a troubled citizen, I am writing this letter. As a troubled citizen, I am writing this letter to draw your kind attention. You have to use these words, right? To draw your kind attention. For what you are drawing the attention of the editor? For the subject. As a troubled citizen, I am writing this letter to draw your kind attention to the issue. What is the issue? Issue of reckless. Reckless means what? Careless. Do not write the meaning here. Reckless driving by the youngsters. Full stop. As a troubled citizen, I am writing this letter to draw your kind attention to the issue of reckless driving by the youngsters. Do not make any prepositional errors, do not make any grammatical mistakes, please. These all things matter when you apply for language subjects, when you write language subject exams. For the issue of reckless driving, this should be your opening line when it comes to writing the letter to editors. Right? You are clearly, so when the editor reads the letter, he can easily understand the issue is what? Reckless driving by the youngsters. Now you have to say something about this in the first paragraph. This comprises of 1 or 2 lines. Write further. Right? The youngsters, what are they doing? How they are driving is reckless. The youngsters are driving their vehicles at a speed beyond limit set by the traffic police authority. The youngsters are driving their vehicles at a speed beyond limit. Limit what? Set. The limit is set by whom? By the traffic police authority. This is called police and not police, right? So be careful while pronunciation as well. Traffic police authority. It comprises of 3 or 4 lines. So something is there in your letter, right? Your letter is clearly explaining the issue to the editor. The letter is clearly being explained to the editor. Let us continue. The youngsters are driving their vehicles at a speed beyond limits set by the traffic police authority. First paragraph. Make a paragraph here. Second, elaborate the issue. Please elaborate the issue. Explain something more. Right? Explain more what they are doing, what the youngsters are doing. When you start first paragraph, always mention the proper subject. The youngsters are overtaking from the wrong side. You can also use a little bit different connotation. You can use from the side prohibited by the government, but to keep the letter simple, from the wrong side, and that too at a greater speed. You do face issues, right? Everyone has faced these issues, so you can understand what the letter is about, right? Overtaking from the wrong side, obviously it creates hindrance, it creates issues, it creates risk, it brings risk to the citizens at a greater speed. Again, elaborate something. The youngsters are overtaking from the wrong side, and that too at a greater speed. What now? They are performing stunts on the roads. You know, everyone has faced this, everyone has seen this. They are performing stunts on the roads along with their mates. They are performing stunts. You are elaborating the issue, you are clearly explaining what you are facing. Then only the editor can write something about the issue in his newspaper. They are performing stunts on the roads along with their mates, their fellow bikers or whoever it may be, the youngsters. Now what? They are even racing. In the streets. They are also doing race. Everyone has done this, whether in bicycle or bike or whatever, right? They are even racing in the streets. Again, this is an issue, right? Again, this is a very severe issue, right? So you have elaborated your problem very clearly. What happens because of this? Now explain that. Right? ये तो आपने देख लिया कि ये सब कर रहे हैं, लेकिन आपको क्या दिक्कत है इसमें? आप तो घर में बैठे हैं, तो दिक्कत क्या है? बाहर जाओ तब दिक्कत होगी. किसको दिक्कत होगी? प्लीज एक्सप्लेन दैट. Because of this, singular this, because of this, the cyclists pedestrians, older people, young children. Do not write elder people because elder is used for same family members. When it is a general thing, you have to write older people. You cannot also write old people. Older people, young children, that this is not a figure of speech here, right? Young children are always young, no, right? We are talking about really small children, but there is no such thing as small children, right? Young children. What is happening to them? Because of this, the cyclists, pedestrians, older people, young children are at a great risk of what? Getting severely injured. Because of this, because of the reckless driving by the youngsters, the cyclists, the pedestrians means people who walk on footpaths and roads as well. Older people, young children are at a great risk of getting severely injured. Now this is the real thing, right? This is why you are writing the letter. Right? This is the main issue here. Issue is not this. They are all getting from wrong side. They can do at 3 p.m., 3 a.m. in the night, at the night, right? But because of these reckless drivers, the cyclists, pedestrians, older people, young children are at a great risk of getting severely injured. This concludes your second paragraph. In first paragraph, you have introduced your problem. What is the problem? Reckless driving by youngsters. What are they doing? You have given some hint to the editor. The letter will be about at the speed limit by the traffic police authority. Then you have elaborated, you have said everything in detail. 4 to 5 lines. See, 5 lines. Right? 4 lines. 3 or 4 lines, 5 to 6 lines. And the concluding paragraph. And now you have to conclude the letter. In conclusion, you have to say something about the problem. What can you do, or what you feel the government or the police can do? Right? Next paragraph. It is my sincere request to you. It is my sincere request to you. What is the request? You are writing a letter to editor and not the police, right? So you cannot say take steps, but you have to write what? It is my sincere request to you to publish or to write. Let us use the word write. To write a strong article. Editors do what? They edit articles. They edit articles. It is my sincere request to you to write a very strong article on this issue. And inform the traffic police authority to take necessary, you can also use the word required, necessary steps such as, right? Mention it whatever you feel, such as confiscating their vehicles, taking their vehicles, comma, fining them heavily. Fine, punishment of money is called fine. Fining them heavily, confiscating their vehicles, fining them heavily. Right? And also cancelling or suspending their driving license if they have, because they are youngsters, majority of them will not have driving license. You can also add that point in your letter. Majority of them will not have driving license, and also cancelling or suspending their driving license. Then why? So that we can feel safe, so that we can feel safe and secure again, or you can write on the roads again, right? Why you are writing this letter? Mentioning the issue, what can the government do, what can the police authority do, what can the editor do? Editor can write, right? He cannot order, he can write. And what is the purpose of writing? So that the citizens, the residents of the city can feel safe and secure on the roads again. This will be your concluding paragraph. You can end the letter here. Now only thing that is remaining is complimentary clause. So without any further ado, write thanking you, comma, leave 3 lines, leave 2 or 3 lines in between of concluding paragraph and complimentary clause. Thanking you, yours truly. If you do not know anything, then just write sincerely. It will work in formal and informal letters. This sincerely word will work anywhere. Thanking you, comma, do not forget the comma, it looks nice. You can eliminate, but it is suggested, it is advised that you put yours truly. Do not make apostrophe here, do not forget the S here. Your truly nahi, it should be yours truly. Thanking you, yours truly, and you know the name. Soham Sa full stop. This concludes your letter. In first paragraph, you have mentioned the issue, why you are writing the letter. The topic will be given in the question itself, reckless driving by the youngsters. So you have clearly mentioned to the editor that what the issue that you are facing. Says something about the issue in first paragraph, 1 or 2 lines. In second paragraph, it should be bigger than first and third paragraph, 5 to 6 lines, 6 to 7 lines even in some cases. the issue, that is elaborate the issue. Say all the things that you face in the issue. Right? Clearly explain to the editor. And concluding paragraph, give some solution. Right? Everybody knows better. Right? Traffic police knows what to do, but what you are really feeling, and what is not happening, that should be done. Right? You are feeling that this should be done, but it is not happening. That is why you are writing the letter. Right? Give some solution. For example, their vehicles can be confiscated, can be taken. Right? They can be fined heavily. Heavily fine can be inflicted on them, and their license can be suspended or cancelled. Points can be given on their license so that they beware before driving reckless. Why you are writing this letter? Because the younger children, the older people, right, the cyclists, the pedestrians, and all those on the roads are at a greater risk on their life. They are at a greater risk of getting severely injured. And the complimentary clause will end with thanking you, yours truly. You can write yours sincerely, do not write yours lovingly, it will be very wrong. Soham Sa. This concludes your formal letter writing. Alright guys, we will meet in the next lecture. We will study informal letter. Alright guys, see you.